Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I'm just getting set up real quick. Trying to just get my setup going. Make sure I got the chats ready. Anyway, that's not working. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Crazy day in the markets, right? We had a pretty good pop on Bitcoin. Gold broke its all-time high. Silver broke its all-time high. We're going to get into a couple of these charts in a minute. I'm just trying to get my chat up on YouTube. Once I get that up, good. Alright, that's not going to work right now. Anyways, let's talk about what happened today in the markets. I'm going to start with the S&P 500, and we'll make our way into a couple other things. For anybody who doesn't know, my name's Eddie. I am a trader at Tactical Edge Trading. We are a trading group, educational. We do live trading. We actually had a pretty good day today all around in the group. Yesterday, I know a lot of people killed it trading as well, but got a Discord. Check us out if you guys are interested. Anyways, let me talk about the markets. So this is the S&P. This is just a futures, right? So essentially what we ended up doing, we swept the high during New York, and we started to break down. But it was weird, right? Because the traditional markets were just chopping around, going down. This is your NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ was doing the same thing. It didn't really get anything crazy. It didn't really break out. It swept the high and broke down. Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, oh, nice. Good job, Parker. I'll get to requests in a minute. I just want to go over some just market analysis, but let me talk about gold and silver. So we had CPI today, right? I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff real fast. So we had CPI, and we beat. It was good, but it was only good on the month over month. It was the year over year hasn't changed. Nothing really. It just showed. I think it was expected at 0.3%, and it came in at 0.2. So it's like, oh, it was better than what they expected. Doesn't really put us in a better spot, in my opinion. But anyway, gold's been in an uptrend, right? Since $54, it broke out and it's been going. We've been riding this trend line pretty much up. We started consolidating the other day. I was talking about these levels. We actually caught some trades here, and it broke out of this wedge, and it's just going, man. It's just going. It took its all-time high at 84. It's now on its way, I believe, to 94. That's just me. The reason I got 94 is because, look, measure and move of that wedge takes you up to like 94, 95, depending on where you pull it from, right? I got, you know, just generally in that area, we're heading up towards 100. Do we stop at 94, 95? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But silver's going, man. I wouldn't be. I even said it yesterday. I was like, I'm not really looking to short this thing. It looks pretty strong. Gold's the same situation, man. Same situation, right? I'm just gonna kind of go over the macro on these two. Uptrend broke its all-time high at 45.50. It is now consolidating. It looks like a bull flag, man. This is what I'm seeing on the 4-hour. This looks like it's bull flagging out above resistance, kind of like what silver just did. You go down to the hourly, it's just chopping around right here. So gold and silver look good. Commodities, man, just commodities in general. They just been going up. So there's precious metals. I know there's a lot of war scare because of the Iran stuff, and there's just a lot of things happening, like geopolitically, I guess, that are making people a little bit more worried. And you can see the money's not going in the Nasdaq and S&P right now, so it's going somewhere else. So it's been going into precious metals. It actually has been going into Bitcoin, believe it or not. Bitcoin had a nice little pop today. We'll talk about Bitcoin, and I'll get into some levels on gold, silver, and stuff. Just trying to paint a picture real quick. So just getting rid of some of my lines. This is just TA from earlier this week. So look, we put in a high. I call it the yearly high, but we put it in back on Monday, right, of last week. And it was around 94.7. And we're like, we have to break this high. And I've talked about this high the last couple days. Like, we have to break these levels in order to go up. Otherwise, we're just banging our heads right here. And then, we have this lower trend. Overall, I still believe we're in a bear flag until proven otherwise. But we're heading on up, man. We busted through that yearly high. Actually, after market, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. We're starting to consolidate a little bit above the yearly high, which is the 94.7. I keep calling it the yearly high, but you guys get what I mean. I think the target, and this is just me, and maybe we get there, maybe we don't. I think the target's somewhere around this 99 to 100K. It just makes sense for me. If we go up go up towards that, we got a 50-week moving average, which I believe we're going on our way up there to revisit. That's what we broke down from. I think we're going to go revisit that. It also lines up at the top of the channel. And just this back test of 100K, man, I think it makes a lot of sense. So whether we get there, I don't know. You know, I could be wrong. End of day, it's not like a perfect thing. You can make predictions in the market and still get it wrong and still be profitable as a trader. That's the beauty of it all. So Bitcoin's looking good, man. Going back in the gold, this is what I'm watching on gold right now. So I am watching this flag. I am not in a trade. I was looking for a trade earlier. I think I took some scalps on it today. So just going to watch this channel right here, man, and see what happens. That's the 4 hour. You go down to the hourly, and you can just watch the support and resistance on gold. So anything up to, like, look, if it gets up here while we're in session, I might be looking for a short because maybe it doesn't break out on the first attempt. Now, the one thing I will point out is that the low right here, we did sweep liquidity on that last low, so I'm going to be a little hesitant just because of that. So I would need to see a sweep to take a short and then a close back in. So like a little sweep up and then pop back down. Just kind of how we saw this wick here, I'd be looking for a short up there. So kind of what I'm looking for on gold tonight, maybe into tomorrow. I don't know if it'll play out 100%, but those are like the plays I'm really looking for on that. I am not looking. I missed my opportunity to catch a long. I did catch a small scalp, but I took profits early. I'm not trying to catch the next breakout. I just want to play what's in front of me. I think there's a very good chance that it may go up for a little bit higher or attempt one more time to go up a little higher. I think we're so close to just kind of sealing the deal on that 5,000, right? So we'll see what happens. What do I think of platinum? I can take a look at platinum. Let me just go over silver real quick, and then we'll talk about platinum. So silver is really simple for me. This is what I'm watching. We have that wedge we talked about, that trend. If you go down to the hourly, this is the trend you need to watch. You pull from that bottom impulse right there, pull a little trend line, bang, look at that. That's money. That right there, you can track. I caught an actual scalp long, and I'll show you the scalp that I caught earlier. I caught a little bit of a scalp long right here. So you see how we broke out on silver? When we broke out and we back tested this trend, I caught a little bit of a long. It wasn't anything crazy, but I did take the long there. I closed out like right around here. It wasn't anything major. I was just taking a quick scalp in and out. VWAP, all that stuff was playing a good role today for trading silver. I caught a few shorts here and there. Just mean reversions back in the VWAP. But I'm watching this trend. As long as we have this trend, I am not really fading silver. If we start to lose this trend, we start to roll over, that's when I start to look for a short, possibly back down, to retest. My first area I'm going to be watching for is this high right here. That's the previous high we broke out of. It also lines up with this support. So it's around 84 will be the first likely area I'd be looking for support. And then it starts to come back into like the 80s and maybe the mid 70s if we start to lose that level. But for now, the trend is up. I'm not fading it. And I don't, if you want to fade it, go ahead. Let's look at platinum real quick. I think I know what platinum is. It's PL, right? Yeah, plat. All right. So, look, shit, platinum looks good, guys. How am I going to fade platinum either? I mean, gold, silver all running. I mean, let's just look at it on the weekly. I'm going to get rid of this moving average so you can see what's going on. But look at this thing on the weekly, man. It's just making new highs. It's straight up, right? How are you trading Asia? For me, none of my tickers are moving. Are you looking at stocks, Parker? If you're looking at U.S. stocks, then yeah, they're closed because the U.S. markets are closed. Crypto never closes. and you can look at futures on like the S&P and stuff like that. So like US 500 for the S&P, US 100 is the futures. So you need to make sure you're looking at futures, not just actual like stocks, because the markets are closed in US. So look, platinum's running up, man. You got a little bit of a ceiling right here, and if you blast through, just like gold and silver, if you can blast through that, man, I think you got a nice little breakout. So you got this little wedge here. Yeah, no problem, dude. So you got this little wedge here. So I would wait to see what happens here. If you start to pop and look for like a little back test here, then you might have a breakout. I don't really want to take a long here going into what could be resistance. To the flip side, if platinum decides it's going to roll over, there's a trend right there. We can look for the short there. So I would say platinum's probably going to make a move in the next day, couple days. I don't know if it's going to be a day or two. Let's just look at the apex of the triangle here. So probably by the next day or two, it should make a move. More locally, it looks like it's gearing up for a move. It's doing kind of what gold and silver were doing. They were creeping up, and eventually they popped. So let me check out the volume on this thing real quick. I want to see how volume looks. It's fading a little bit on the 4 hour. Daily looks great. I mean, it flattened out a little bit, so we don't want to see this thing to start to go down because that's a divergence on volume. We don't want to see that. Yeah, I'll get to the tickers in a bit, guys. Let me just get through my market analysis. I am trading right now, so I'm going to be popping back and forth between Bitcoin, gold, and silver. I'm really not looking for a gold and silver trade at the moment, but I am in a Bitcoin long, and I'll explain why. So that's platinum, really, man. Wait for that pop. I mean, look, if it does break to the upside, usually these wedges, they break the the width. Could take you up to damn near $3,000. That'd be insane, wouldn't it? But to the flip side, if it breaks down, I mean, you're coming all the way back down to like 2,000. So this is a big trend. I think it as long as it holds above this, it's only got up to go. So we'll have a decision soon on this thing. Let's talk about Bitcoin real quick, and then I will get into some plays for you guys, what I'm looking at. So Bitcoin, like I said, Bitcoin broke that yearly high. On a more localized level, what I'm watching, and I have to go down to the 15 for this, right? So I'm watching two things right here. We have a trend. This is for like scalping tonight. Anybody who is scalping and wants to follow along, I'm not saying take the trades. That's my 15-minute money line. As long as we're above this, I am not shorting. What I am looking for are long. So what I did is earlier, when we swept the bottom of the range right here, I took a long. It was into the trend. If you look at this, right, we were just ranging. And we came down, kind of took a little bit, and then we bounced off that trend. So it was a nice little long for me. Easy invalidation. We lose this trend, I'm out. That's it. I don't care what happens. You could fake out and pop back in, and I'm still cool with being out. Like, it is what it is. So if it starts to lose this low here around 95, 100, I'm out of the trade, and I start to look for my next trade. That's all. But I do think if we do it, look, if Bitcoin pulls back, right, it's probably going to find some support at that 94.8. There's no doubt about it. It's gonna attempt to find support there. Does it hold? That's a different story. So just keep that in mind on BTC. Appreciate the follows, guys. We do stream live pretty much 6 days a week. It's myself, Nick, and Ben, and we just do market stuff, market talk, trade setups, educational stuff. If you want to learn, we sometimes throw some educational content into the mix. But yeah. So I mean, look, this thing could possibly run. Now the level Bitcoin needs to break, and this is the one I'm watching. I need to see this little high broken that we're banging our head. So you see this little range? We need to break out of this range. If we break out, there could be a move up. The first area, I think we're going to probably go for this wick here at like 96, but I really think we're going to take some of this wick back. Do we continue up? I don't know, but I think they're going to take back some of this liquidity. There's a lot left behind if it breaks up. If it breaks down, then I think we're probably going to lose this trend and probably come back down to test this 94.8 yearly high. So those are the two levels I'm really watching to the upside and downside. I can do pins. You can see gold still going, man. I was actually in a long a little bit ago, and I cut my trade, took profits on. I was happy. Silver looks like it's getting ready to pop back down. Anyway, we had some other stuff. Did you trade that big spike? Yeah, man, I caught it this morning. You want to see the trade I caught? Hold on. So, where was it at? It was back here. It's down here, right here. Okay. So why did I take this trade? One, I had a trend starting to develop, right? A little bit of a trend developing. It did deviate slightly below it. So this morning we were in right here is where I think I got in, I believe. Right, so we had that initial pop off the news this morning, and I'll show you why. So here's VWAP. We had that initial pop. Oh, there it is right there. So that was the CPI news. So we had that pop. We came back down when the market's getting ready to open, and then we ran up into market open. When we pulled back into VWAP, I actually called a trade, but I didn't trade BTC. I actually called a trade on ETH. It looked exactly the same, and I'll show you what the trade was. It's pretty much the same play. It's right here. So here's the pre-market pop on CPI. When we pulled back into VWAP, I loaded up. I had a feeling. Why? Because when I went to volume, I'm going to show you on the higher time frames. Look at the volume. Volume is straight going up right here. Like, volume's shooting up, breaking highs, and prices just right here consolidating. I'm like, yeah, this is going to go. So for me, it was an easy trade. Took that. Was happy with it. I took a silver short, but I don't want to get on top of that. So what are we looking at? That was my trade this morning. I did catch the spike, though. A few people did. Some people didn't take the trade. Just didn't line up with their rule set. They were playing discipline, which is completely respectable. I mean, look, if a trade is there, doesn't necessarily mean you have to take it. If it doesn't feel right or if it's off by a little bit with your rules, don't fucking take it, man. That's all. That's all it is. Play by your rules, because at the end of the day, your rules will save you. Your system's gonna save you. So what if you miss it? For me, it lined up. It checked out. ETH checked out, but I wouldn't have taken Bitcoin. So this is ISRG. Someone posted this in the chat. I'm going to take a quick look at this one. Do you have a time frame or specific you're looking at? Or are we just talking about, like, higher time frames, like daily stuff? I don't really know. I'm going to go look at the weekly real quick. Wow. That just... All right. So we took a look at Platinum, looking at IRS. Yeah, I'm going to look at pins. I got you, brother. I got you. So this is the weekly. I mean, I guess we got a little bit of a money line here on the weekly. So we have a little bit of an uptrend. It's not a little bit, it's a big uptrend that's been going for 2 years. When I get down to the daily, I see that we're approaching resistance, right? So this is my first area that my eyes are drawn to. We are rejecting right now what seems to be a rejection, because you can see how we're chopping, and then we chopped up. It looks like we grabbed liquidity right here of this range, and now we're starting to like kind of fade. I would bet there's some divergence here. I'm going to almost guarantee there's probably divergence. And there is. Look at that. So you see how momentum, and this is a little learning moment for anybody who's new to trading. See momentum shifting down. This is the daily, by the way, so this is not a small time frame. It's shifting down, but price spiked up. That is a divergence. That is a bearish div. So that is an early sign that this thing may be breaking down. So what do my eyes draw to on this thing? The BTC spike made you 10K. Congrats, man. I'm happy for you, honestly. A lot of people have been waiting for this pump for like the last year. I feel bad, but it's true. So if you're making money, man, congrats. You're doing better than a lot of people out there. So look, we got a CME gap here, right, down to 470. The gap starts around 522. We lose this line right here. This is my line in the sand, right? You're going to start drawing out a little bit of a trend. You see how it's like a little bit of a channel, right? A little bit of a channel there. If we start to lose this trend, my guess is it's probably coming down to test this CME gap. So what I would do is watch this channel. My first sign of weakness is this loss of this low right here. And you can see we're flirting with it. So this low here on the daily, and I'm going to show you on the 4 hour. I'm marking everything out. So when I go to my 4 hour, if we start to lose this low, that's my first red flag, right? Because that's a 4 hour, daily break of structure. If we lose this trend, then I'm thinking it's probably going to come down and take this low, maybe this low. And that brings us down to that gap there. So But you don't want to get ahead of yourself on this stuff. Look, we are still technically in an uptrend. So if it can hold here at this level and not lose this low, I think you got a nice bounce coming in and maybe another attempt at this 605 to really sweep it. Because look, we didn't actually take the liquidity. We got up there, but we didn't take it. The liquidity stacked up here. Stacked up here. So like this is where we need to get to. So there could be another bounce coming. What I would do to track that, you go down to your 4 hour. You got a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a downtrend here you can track, right? It's not freaking great, but it's there. So just watch price action. If this thing starts to, break out, starts to flip structure on like a 4 hour, then you have a chance of coming up here. If it starts to break down and then it can't get back above this trend, then you're looking for the rollover. That's the two plays I would see on this thing if I were going to take this, or just looking for a move. I would be looking for price to do one of those things, a break up or a break down. I would use this trend and this support and this like local, like that local support, and then this like uprising trend from the bottom to kind of mark out where I would do, what my line in the sand is. So so that is ISRG, right? And look, man, this could be a sweet play down here. I don't know what time frame you're trading on, but like, look, if this eventually breaks down, and I don't know if it's going to necessarily do it from here, it may come up and sweep first, but this gap is juicy. That would be a sweet little short if you can catch a nice little sweep at the top up here, or maybe even a breakdown retest, and then maybe a short into the gap and see how it reacts. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. What else you guys want to know? I saw some other stuff in here. No pins. I'm going to go look at that. SLV. All right, so SLV, then pins. That's the order. However you guys type it in there is how I'm going to look at it. So it's not like, so you know. Oh, silver. We looked at silver. This is iShares though, right? So look, I kind of gave my analysis on silver already. I'll just get a quick little one. I'm going to go back to, let's just do the silver shares. I don't want to do it on anything else. So look, you gotta, this is kind of weird, right? So you're in an uptrend, you can't fade it. This is what you want to watch on silver, on SLV. See this trend? That's your 1 hour trend. If you lose this trend, you're probably coming down one to fill this gap here down to 72, and probably going to back test some of these levels here. Starting with this, that high right there, and then maybe even down to these levels here, which would fill the gap actually. So those are your two levels to the downside, around 72 and maybe about 74. If we lose trend. In the meantime, the measured move for silver, when I was looking at it, was about 94. I don't know how that translates on this one necessarily. If I had to guess, I would probably, let's go back to this right here. That's your trend. That's your box, right? That's your flag or whatever. This is your measured move. Measured move takes you up to about 82. So you're almost at the measured move of the breakout. So, I would probably start to, it's hard to tell, but like, look, the best way is when you lose this trend, it's probably time to get out if you're long or start to look for shorts, however you want to play it. Nice. MSTR for obvious reasons. Yeah, dude. I'm going to go look at that real quick because I think I made that call like a week ago. I did. I made that call last week in the Discord. I said this thing was going to pop. It did. Let me go look at pins real quick. Now pins, we're talking about Pinterest. I just want to make sure it's the same one we're talking about. All right, so not much has changed on Pinterest, dude. I think we talked about this the other day. Might have been yesterday, right? So look, here's the TA. I'm gonna make it pretty like simple. You're consolidating on a higher time frame above this trend, right? This is your money line. As long as you're above this, that's support. It's called dynamic support. We are printing what I think may be a reversal pattern. This is a ascending triangle. These happen at lows. They can happen at highs, but they're not so often there. But these is usually reversal. They have like a 67% chance to break to the upside versus the downside. That's just probability. I'm not like making that up. That's like literally somebody back tested it and they came up with like 67, 66%, something around there. 2 out of 3 times. So if this breaks, we're holding above that trend. So we got some context of why we're bouncing here. Now, if I go down to my 4-hour and we're just watching the 4-hour, we talked about this level yesterday. $28 is your line in the sand. You need to break above 28, and you don't want to lose this local trend. If you lose this local trend, you're probably coming back down to these 24 level and attacking some of these lows. If you break to the upside, I mean, the measured move is right there. That's how you measure these things. It pretty much takes you to the top of the gap. So you break 28, you could be looking at $32, maybe a little higher. It probably moves very quickly through that area too. So those are your levels to watch. That's probably as easy as it's gonna get. You got a resistance and you have a trend line. It's gonna break one direction or the other. Just wait for the break, and then you'll have a better idea what the direction's gonna be. Sometimes there are fake outs, so just be mindful. There could be fake outs. Don't get played. Wait for the breakout. Wait for the retest. Do it the right way. If you don't know how to trade and you don't understand what I'm saying, join our Discord. We'll teach you. We'll get you ready to take trades like that. I don't want to see people getting trapped because this happens a lot. All right, I'm going to show you a little trap that they like to do. A lot of times, what they'll do is they know that people are waiting for the breakout, right? And what do? Right here, there's resistance. People play the breakout. See that wick right there? Those are trap traders. Do not be those people. Do not be the trap trader. Don't be the trap traders, guys. Is all I'm saying. Because then what do? They brought it down. They never took it all the way back up there. And then they ran it down. So you don't want to be those guys. Yeah, the Discord is free. Our Discord's too expensive. How is free too expensive, dude? It's free to join, man. Yeah, Parker's nailing it perfectly right now in the chat. Parker just joined up not that long ago. Look, it's free to the point where you can be part of the Discord, you can see what we're about. There are some paid features, like if you want to trade live, you'll have to upgrade. None of our educational content, like how to trade, our videos, anything like that, none of that stuff is going to be gate kept. So what you can do is, Parker just did it. Appreciate you, Parker. I'm about to make you a mod, Parker. Let's see if I can. I'll have to figure that out. I've never done it before on. I've never done mods on. If you can even do mods on TikTok. Why do we gatekeep live trades? Live trading? Well, I'm going to put it to you this way. We don't gatekeep education, so you can figure out how we trade. The reason we gatekeep live trading is because we want to make sure people that are trading with us are serious, because the majority of us do this full time. It's not a joke for us. If we open it up to everybody, we're going to have hundreds. We have like thousands of people in our Discord. If we open it up to everybody, like that would just be so many people and we would have no control. We want to make sure everybody that's there is serious. It's like you pay tuition to go to school. You take it a little bit more serious than if you're going to like a public school. At least you think, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. We want to weed out the people that aren't serious and the trolls. No, I don't think a troll is going to pay like $100 a month to just come into our Discord and live and just start trolling. I mean, at least I don't. A dedicated one, maybe. Yeah, I can do that, man. I don't have a specific time. I'm just trying to learn. Yeah, dude. If you're trying to learn, check out our website. It's tactical. I'm gonna type it in there. Let me actually make sure I have the website right. Let me get the. There it is. Tactical Edge Traders. So I just popped the website in there. It's tacticaledgetraders.com. Like, if you want to learn, dude, there's a bunch of free modules on there, and you can also join the Discord from there. The link's in there. And there's a bunch of educational stuff in there that's open to anybody. So what am I looking at? Pins. So this is pretty much what I'm looking at pins, man. It's pretty simple. Watch this ascending triangle. Also, this trend on the lower end, probably going to be bearish. Break above 28. You got a shot up to 32. It's kind of what I'm thinking in like the next couple days, maybe next couple weeks on this thing. Probably next week or two. I would say not even next couple weeks. What's the next one, you guys? Is Sol breaking out? I'm actually going to show you guys Sol in a little bit. I'm actually looking at Sol. Discord is expensive. How can I join Discord? Can we look at Oracle? We can look at that. And then we'll look at US 30. Is there a way to predict how long the move for pins will be? I mean, you mean in time or like how high? I mean, the way that this is your measured move, right? That's your measured move. It's basically that's how you get it from the pattern. But time-wise, it's tough. That's the hardest thing in trading to predict is time. How long a trade will take to play out. I can give you levels and tell you price may get to that level, and there's a high chance it gets there. The timing's what's tough. I would imagine it's going to move through this gap pretty quickly. Let's look at how fast it moved up to this level or down from here. It was within a 4-hour candle. This happened over a weekend. So within like 2-3 days, it made this move. But give me 1 second. So what am I looking at now? I saw a few things. So we're not doing MSTR, Wickham, Sneaky Pad. Man, you guys are moving too quick for me. All right, so I remember US 30, and then there was another one you guys want to look at. Oh, Oracle. Let me look at Oracle, then US 30, then we'll go look at the other ones. So I think it's the same scenario as yesterday. And I'm going to get to that question in a minute. Give me a second. Let me just do this quick TA. It's hard to talk and TA at the same time, changing topics. So basically, we're pushing into a CME gap, right? Oracle found some support around 178. Bounce, put a higher low in on the daily, and is now getting that market structure shift I think we talked about yesterday. So this level right here, that's your daily market structure shift. This is now starting to prep itself for an upside move. So how I track this, take the trend down here, take it to that next daily low, you now have a trend. What you want to see, and look, I'm going to give you the targets too, but what you want to see is a higher low get put in, above this low here. You don't want to see this low breached. So this trend could serve for a nice area. I'd imagine when it's ready to go, it's probably going to come attack this 218 if it's ready to push up. 218 next. Why? Because it's a CME gap. They love to fill CME gaps. So you get up to 218, 224-ish, 25-ish, I would get a little defensive up here. That's probably where you're going to see resistance. If you lose this trend or if you lose this low, it's just coming back down to take the low at 177. That's probably what's going to end up happening. Now, if you can get above this 225, you really don't have much in the way before you move up to like the high 200s. See how fast this moved down? It got caught up a little bit here, but there's not much here. And if I pull up my volume tool, my VRVP, you can see that like the volume fades out once you get above that like that 230 level. It just kind of fades out. So it moves pretty quickly back up to the high 200s. So those are the local levels I'm watching on Oracle. I mean, if you're looking like lower time frame stuff, I mean, look, you pierced into the CME gap. What you're looking for is either support here at 200 or you're looking for a bounce on this trend down here, maybe like a pullback, a deeper pullback. But if it bounces here, I mean, it's probably going to be a good trade. Back up to like 218. It would be a nice little trade. I'm not saying take this, but like if you got the confirmations, I mean, you could probably throw a stop under there, pop that up there. It's almost a 6-to-1 risk-reward ratio. So that's if we can establish support here. So let this one develop a little bit more. But that's what I'm seeing on Oracle. You're out at 460. All right, let me go back and see what's going on here. All right, can you look at US 30? I'm going to go look at US 30 next, and I'm going to start answering some questions from the chat. I'm reading them. I'm just trying to get to them. You guys are like, I got to keep up with you. Do I think paper trading before getting into day trading is a good idea, and for how long? Yes and no. So it's a good idea if you've never traded before and you don't have a system and you're still testing out a profitable system, a winning system, then yes, paper trading is good. But once you've developed your system and once you have a basic understanding of where you're executing, like what your exchange is, and you've played around with the interface and you know how to like set up your stop losses, your take profits, and you're familiar with the exchange, you should start to like, you should start to like at least have some money on the line. Now, I'm not saying you throw in a fucking $1 million. So Bobby's a new trader in our Discord. He's been trading for about 3 months. He's been under Ben's mentorship. He didn't even know what a candlestick was. He didn't know what TradingView was. He is now a profitable trader. He's making more money than he's losing. He does lose trades, but he wins more than he loses. So Bobby's only trading with like a $150, $200 account because he was paper trading about a month and a half ago. He just started moving into money like about a month and a half, 2 months ago. So you need to have, you start small, but you need to experience what it's like to actually have like some skin in the game, because that's when the emotions and the psychology kicks in. If you have no money on the lines, you know you're not losing anything, this is not going to mess with you. You're just like, whatever. If I lose, I lose. I don't care. But once you start to realize, like, and there's money on the line, and you could lose your money, and if you're, especially if you're oversizing, you're using way too much money or way too much leverage, it becomes like a game. Like, you're going to feel pressure, your blood pressure is going to spike, your heart rate's going to rise, you're going to go into fight or flight. It's really what happens in the market. I'm not even joking. It's the wildest thing, and you have to learn to combat that's physiological response that your body has, and also the psychological, because you're going to start doubting yourself. Every time the candle moves against you, you're going to be like, oh, I think maybe I'm wrong, You'll start to overthink things. It's a whole mental battle, and you need to have money on the line to understand that and experience that, because the only way to combat that is to know what it's like. I still get those feelings, but I've traded long enough now that I know that my system's my system. I stick to it. If I got into the trade and that's my stop loss, that's my TP, I'm sticking to it no matter what. It doesn't matter if I get in the trade and all of a sudden I feel like, oh, I made a bad decision. I entered it with a clear mind, and now I'm like, I'm just gonna stick to it. But we can teach you that kind of stuff. That comes with experience, but it also comes with talking to people who've done it, who understand it. Because in the beginning, you think you're doing something wrong, and your mind's gonna tell you to do the opposite. Like, when you're scared, normally you probably sell. Or when you're feeling greedy, you see green candles, you probably buy. But that's because your mind is telling you that's the best time to do it. It's the safest bet. That's completely wrong. And you like retrain your thinking, all that shit. Because when it's red, that's usually the best time to buy, and when it's green, that's probably the best time to sell. So it's a whole psychological game, and that's why using money is more important than just having paper trading. But paper trading will get you to at least knowing how to execute a trade properly and making sure your system works. So anyway, let's talk about US 30, then I'll get to some more questions. What do I trade? I trade on two things. I trade on Brightfunded. It's a prop firm. So I trade a little bit larger money on there. It's like I had two $50,000 accounts, but then I did something stupid and had to start all over. I counter traded on the different accounts by accident. Didn't realize I was doing it. So like, you can't have two accounts open and take opposite directions. So if I was in a swing long on BTC and I was taking a scalp short on the other account, and it was a breach. But I had to restart the account. But I basically trade with a 50K account on Brightfunded, but I also have a BidFi account where I trade with my own money, and a BTCC account where I trade stocks and commodities and stuff like that on BTCC. So those are the three exchanges essentially that I trade on. One's a prop though. So we talked about this one yesterday, right? This is the Dow. The Dow still has some legs to the upside, I think. We are watching this money line. You can see why this money line makes sense. Starts here, right? We broke out of this little consolidation, and we're trying to find support to see if whether it's going to leg up or not. If it breaks out, the next target's about 52K. Could get up to 51, 52K the Dow. I'm going to get rid of this roll first, guys. This is annoying. So I'd be looking up here. But look, if we break back under, let's call it 49,000, and gain acceptance back into this range, then you're looking back down to 48 first, and potentially even down to sweep these lows here, down at like 47. So lose 49, 48 could be in the cards, maybe even 47. If you can remain above this and just continue to do this, it could turn into a bear, it just could be just a support resistance flip, a back test of the breakout for the real move up. So that's what I'd be watching on the Dow in the coming days. Not too much really different than, like, it is lagging behind the NASDAQ and it's lagging behind the S&P. So this thing could still have some legs on it. Let me check volume real quick and then we'll move on to some other stuff. I think we talked about this one pretty in depth yesterday. Yeah, and look, as long as it's above this trend, overall it's bullish, right? As long as it's above trend. If you start losing 47, 40, like that low here, you start to get into like red territory, like worrisome territory. But as long as you're above this trend, it's still bullish in my opinion. If you start to lose that, then you start to like attack lower levels. You could come down to 45K possibly. So just keep that in mind on the Dow. When will it crash? I don't know, man. No one knows when it's going to crash. It's going to happen, though. We know with markets, there's always, if markets go up, they do come down. Whatever goes up comes down, same vice versa. All right, let me get to some of these questions real quick, then we'll look at some other stuff. Do I think Oracle's looking good to enter? I can't really answer that for you, man. It depends on what kind of trading you're doing, dude. I mean, I wouldn't enter a long here because if I was going to take a long on Oracle, I would be looking for 190, 191. If it starts to show support here at 200, maybe, but I need to see more. It has to do more. So I'm going to say no, it's not good to enter long yet. If anything, you're probably better off trying to look for a short, but I wouldn't even suggest that because you have to like really know what you're doing there because it's tricky. It's a tricky short. It's not an easy one. Oracle. What do you live trade on Discord? Just curious. There's something I'm interested in. So right now, primarily, we all trade Bitcoin. A lot of us are Bitcoin traders. It's just got good volatility. We most of us trade futures, leverage. So Bitcoin gives us the volatility we need, and we've just developed a system for it that works really well. SFPs, liquidity sweeps, works beautiful with Bitcoin. I trade silver gold. Donkey trades silver gold. A lot of guys in the group do as well. We trade off things as well. Like if an altcoin looks good, I pop an altcoin chart in there, and I've been known to trade altcoins. I don't really trade the S&P too much, but I know people that do. So we trade everything. We did look at SPY already. Give me a little bit, and I'll go back to it. All right. I just got to get through some other stuff first, answer some questions. What do you live trade on Discord? I already answered that. Is Oracle looking good? I answered that. What is a CME full form? Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's what that stands for. So what is that? It's basically where Bitcoin trades in the U.S. That's where like the big wigs and stuff, like the hedge funds, they buy and sell their Bitcoin. So they go off the CME chart. So it's closed on the weekends. Even though Bitcoin still trades on the weekends, CME is closed on the weekends. Do NAT? What is NAT? Natural gas? Wait, NAT? Nordic American Tankers? So you're long from... Oh, I gotta read that again. Where are you long from on that? You said you have long calls, 3.5. Okay, so if you're at 3.5, you're doing good. That means you're entered down here. I don't know about a $4 one, but look, as long as you're above this high, this is your support right now. This high here, that's your support. You can see why it makes sense, right? You just drag it over. It was one support. Your resistance is going to be between 420. This is a daily, by the way. So I'm doing everything on the daily. This is higher time frame stuff. So your next major resistance is going to be about 425 and then about 440. Those are your two levels to the upside. I would say the 440 is probably a bigger zone, but those are your two levels to the upside. And then your real level to the downside, if you lose that 392, you're opening up to come all the way back down to 350. So I was in a position where I was in profits from down here. If I lost, I think my line in the sand would be losing this previous high. If I start to lose that, I would probably cut my own. I would probably cut the trade, but that's just me. But I mean, it looks good, dude. You got a trend, right? You got this nice trend going. Can't fade it. I mean, it deviated slightly, right? Right when you got back in was a good spot. So as long as you're trending up, it's cool. You just got some major resistance above you. You can see this is the weekly high up here around 480. That's gonna be a place to contend with. You can pop 480, man. You see how this thing moves when it gets over that like $485 region. It shoots up. So I would watch out for that. That's my local levels on it. I mean, it looks good for now. I wouldn't go long in it right now, but I think 420, I'd get a little, see what happens up there. Might be a good place to take profits, but All right, gotta go check out what you guys want to look at. I'm out 460. 460 makes sense. You're front running that 480 area. I could see that being a good area to get in and out. What are your key prices for what? Corvette. Oracle? I think I gave you the prices already. I already talked about where I trade. How did I learn trading? That's a good question. I learned a lot of it from textbooks. Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets was one of the original textbooks I read about just basic TA. A lot of it was just scouring the internet for what's a moving average? Why is a moving average used? What's an EMA? Like just questions that came along as I was learning to trade. How to read candlesticks. A lot of it was Google search, but I did read a few textbooks, and a lot of it was applying my own methods and things that I saw other people do to see what worked. I didn't really have a group in the beginning before I developed my system. I was actually a mentor. I was actually a mentor at Crypto Banter for a little bit. Back in 2023, going into 2024, signed up as a moderator. They made me mentor in like a few weeks. And I was doing that for a little bit there, teaching people how to trade, doing some live stuff, but I left there. Went solo for a bit. And then I've jumped in with these guys, Ben and Dunkey over at Tactical Edge. And I've been here since. I've been here almost like a year and a half, 2 years with the guys. I was only at Banter like 8 months. And I was like, I'm out of there. I don't want to get into it why, but if you join the Discord, I'll tell you. I'll tell you in Discord why I left. But yeah, I mean, I kind of learned mostly by myself, but like I did pick some things up when I was at Banter from other traders. You know, it's kind of how like you talk trade with other traders, and they tell you what's worked for them, and then you can maybe take tidbits of it and develop your system. And like I've adopted some things like about liquidity and stuff from Nick and Dunkey. Oh, not Nick and Dunkey, Nick and fucking Ben at Tactical Edge. So you know, it's a journey, honestly, man. It's how you want to take that journey because I don't think you ever stop learning in trading, and that's the truth. You don't really ever stop learning. You keep adapting to the markets and developing and honing your skills. The system doesn't have to change, but it gets tweaked every once in a while. But yeah, man, mostly by myself, and then the rest was like learning from other people. I never had like an actual mentor. I wish I did though. I would have fucking saved myself an ass ton of bullshit. I blew so many accounts trying to learn how to trade. Like I'm not even joking, dude. Like it's sad. Like there's certain exchanges I won't go back to because I don't want to see what my P&L was when I first started to learn how to trade because it's disheartening, man. It made me think like I suck at this. But stick with it long enough, you learn. If a trade, I keep going. If a trade works for you, do you get out at break even then re-enter later? See, I'm gonna tell you why that's a problem for me. So if I'm in a trade, right? If I'm in a trade and I get out at break even because I set my stop loss and I set, let me give you the emotion, the psychology behind it. You're never going to be more clear headed than before you enter a trade. When you have no money on the line and you're thinking, you're planning your trade out, like this is where I want to enter, this is my risk, you know, where as much as I'm willing to risk, where my stop will go, and this is what I think my profit's going to be. I think, you know, my checklist is there, everything lines up, the trade looks good. You have no money on the line, so the emotion's not there. The minute you click enter and you have money on the line, that's when the emotions flood in. So every decision you make from there on out will be less clear headed than the original decision. So for me, if I have a stop loss in and once I'm in a trade, I'm like, I should just take the break even and get out. I usually don't move my stop. The only time I will move my stop, I'm going to show you on the chart on Nordic right now. This is when I'll move my stop to break even. So let's say I played this inverse head and shoulders here, right? I saw the shoulder, head, I saw the right shoulder. I'm like, you know what? I want to get an entry here. So let's say I got look, this is a higher time frame play, but let's just show you how it would work. So I would enter long somewhere in here, find my entry, and my stop would probably go initially. Let's say I got my entry somewhere down here. My stop might go down here, and then my TP would probably be up here. So the risk reward's not great. Or let's say I was targeting a little higher because this is a higher time frame play. When we start to create new highs and new lows, once this low right here gets created, I can then move my stop to break even because now Market structure has allowed me to. We've created a new swing low. That is now my cutoff point. I can move it to break even, or I can even move it up a little bit more into profits. So that's when I'll switch to break even, but the trade has to develop for me to do that. I'll never move it to break even just because I'm worried that I'm going to lose money in a trade if it hasn't had time to breathe and play out, is what I'm trying to say. I hope that answered that. How does charting work? Good question, man. How does charting work? It's hard to explain. You're going to have to elaborate on that one. Join the Discord. I'll teach you how to chart. I'll explain how it works. When you on here, say, oh, okay, you guys are talking to each other. Do you have any prop firms that let you trade singular stocks? Don't get Top Step, because I heard Top Step just fucking blew up, by the way. If anybody's like looking for a prop firm, they blew up. They're not paying out their people, and apparently their system doesn't work, so like your stops are getting blown through. So be careful with them. I have used Brightfunded. Doesn't have like singular stocks. They have more commodities and indices. There was one I used before. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, god damn it. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But they did have stocks on there. But damn, if I wish Nick was in here. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. But if it does come back to me, I'll let you know. When will it crash this year? I don't know, man. I don't know. I could check out CoreWeave. Let me go look at CoreWeave, then we'll go look at SPY again. I gotta remember what CoreWeave is. I was just looking at this earlier. So I already have this T8 out, right? So CoreWeave, we're looking at this. We are in a... I gotta get rid of something. You know what? Let me get rid of everything. Let's just do this fresh. So CoreWeave, we're in a downtrend, right? And you can see the downtrend by this. As long as we're below that trend, we're in the downtrend. So we're in a downwards channel on the weekly. When I go to my daily, what do you see here? Well, two schools of thought. You can say a little shoulder, maybe a head, right shoulder, complex inverse head and shoulders. Or some people may call this a symmetrical triangle. They may call it a diamond pattern. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of like signal that this was a bottom forming, right? That's the symmetrical triangle. Some people may even go on as far as this. These are reversal patterns at the end of the day, right? So CoreWeave is looking to make a move up from what I can see. We have already broken market structure on the daily, right? We had a low, high, higher low, and then we broke that high. That is a market structure shift on the daily. And we've also had a breakout of this wedge. So what's our expected move? Well, we take the width of the wedge, of the widest part of the wedge. So we're looking at like 105, 106. That could be the next area. It could go higher than that. I don't know. But this is kind of what I'm looking at from what I can see. So right now, we've already had our breakout. What are we looking for? We're looking for another higher low to get formed outside of this trend. Does it happen here, or does it come all the way back down and test the trend? That I don't know. That's up to price action. But we're looking for a higher low to form, and we're looking to stay above this trend. If we can do that, I think 100 is in the cards. 107, 108 could even be in the cards because you have this high up here. That makes sense, right? It kind of lines up almost with our target around this 110. Our target was like 107, 108. So this could be the target on CoreWeave if it can continue up. The key is we need to put a higher low in, up higher than this low here. So above this trend, higher low, you got a good shot up towards that 110 area. If you start to break back inside this pattern here, then the trend low becomes the next target. And if you lose that, well, you're looking at taking these lows out down there. So that could take you back down to 64, 65, maybe even lower. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on CoreWeave. It has been consolidating for a bit, so you know, a nice pullback on this thing would make sense. Watch for the flags. Like, I'm going to get rid of some of this crap here. Let me get rid of some of my TA. So watch for the flag to develop. Like, look for this. Look for a trend. Once price action develops, maybe a bull flag. You know, wait for the patterns to show itself. Wait for price action to reveal the move. Don't just assume what's going to happen. But let this thing develop a little bit. See what happens. It could turn into a flag. Maybe it just dumps. Who knows? Let's see. What was the next one? SPY. We could look at SPY again. So it depends, Wild and Sunny Racing. The longs and shorts I take depends on what I'm trading. If I'm just day trading, I'm probably holding it from anywhere from like 5 minutes sometimes to like a couple hours. Those are my scalping trades. My swing trades I can hold anywhere from 2 to 3 days to maybe sometimes even like a couple weeks. That's just my time frames. I don't do a lot of longer time frame swing trading, just because I'm more of a leverage guy. I like to use futures. I see the value in being able to get in and out of a trade daily and be able to go to sleep at night. It's a lot better when you don't have a bunch of trades open. So, but I'll do a few week long trades, but I won't use leverage. Typically just do spot if I see something I like. So, most trades are closed within a day for me. Core weave. Spy, I'm going to get to Spy. Then we're going to do Spy, Soul, then I'm going to go look at Apple. Already looked at CoreWeave, already, so I'm just going to go over my Spy chart over here. I have it already. So Spy, we're banging our heads against this resistance here, right? I'm going to zoom this thing out. We are up against this channel, right? We're at the top of the parallel channel on the weekly. Zoom down to the daily. You can see from the lows from when the tariff low we had back in April, right? If you run that trend up, look at this trend. Runs you directly into current price action. So we're getting really tight. This is a rising wedge. No matter how you want to draw it, this is basically a rising wedge. It's getting tight. It's either going to break up from here or it's going to break down, vice versa. But it's getting close to making a decision. It's going to happen soon. Doesn't mean it's going to be a straight line. It could wick up, then come down. It could chop around just a little bit before it does anything, but it's getting ready to make a decision. So I'd be on the lookout for the breakdown of the trend, and then you can start looking for shorts. I would say probably my first target would be around 6,500 for like swing trades on like the higher time frames, but you could come down even as low as 6,200 because that's the previous high. If we start to break that trend, right? That was the breakout of the previous high. And every single time, let me show you a little something what we've been doing. Every time we break a high, right? Look at that high. We come back down and visit it. We did it here when we broke this high. We ran up and then we came back down, tapped it. Look at this high right here. Same scenario, guys. We broke it. We came back down and tapped it. So I would say 6,200 is in the cards at some point. If I'm just playing off history and what history has shown, 6,200 could be in the cards on the higher time frames if we start to break down from this level. I would say the probabilities of a breakdown are a little higher than a pullback, than a breakout. And the reason I say that is because of a few things. One, volume is coming down. Volume hasn't really shown the want to break out. On the daily, it's fading. And then we have divergences. That's pretty much like my case. You're starting to get divs on like the lower time frames, like the 4 hour starting to show divergence right there. You can see how price action is moving up, right? What's momentum doing? It's shifting down. So I would say the more likelihood that we probably break down, but doesn't mean it can't pop up, take all the highs, and then run down. So it's kind of what I'm seeing on SPY. What else are we looking at? I looked at CoreWeave. Let's look at Sol, and then I'm going to get to App. No, let's look at Sol and then Apple. Somebody asked for Sol first. Sol's a pretty simple trade for me right now. I was actually TAing this earlier. I'm actually looking to get into Sol myself. I don't want to say trade because, again, nothing here's financial advice, guys. I'm just some dude on the fucking internet just talking about his levels and shit. Don't go taking trades based off that. I'm not saying my trades are wrong. I wouldn't take them. Hold on 1 second, guys. TikTok's making me prove that I'm still here. So look, we're up against 145. This has been resistance for Solana for a while. We've been chopping, banging our heads. We just poked our heads through. Look at this. You can see how 145, you go back in time. I draw a line through this. You can see 145 has made sense in the past, right? We get above 145, we back test. Where does price action go? Look back here. Ran up to like that 180 area. Back here. We got back above it, back test, we ran up to like 200. So if we can get a back above this level here, my expectations at least to this 170, right? 170. If it decides it wants to go higher, then I guess the next level I'm looking at is this 188, that area right there, and then possibly 200 if things get really bullish. Those are my main areas I'm watching. If I pull a fib, you can see 200 is where the 618 is. That 170 is where the 382 is. Those are major levels. So those are my two targets to the upside in the bullish case. I mean, I would say 180 is probably like a medium target. Now, I wouldn't put too much into that, but like we get the 180 if you're holding from down here, might not be a bad place to take profits. So the key I'm looking for on Solana is this. I need to see price action actually break and close and show me a break. Show me you want to mark up. Get the break, show me some consolidation, maybe a back test, and then we can move up. If it continues doing what it's doing now, it's not a breakout. This is an SFP. So my expectation is this could probably come down. If it can't break out, what's likely going to do? It's going to dump. Now, how do we figure that out? Go to the 1 hour, take a trend from down here, run that trend up. That's what you watch. Watch this trend on the hourly. This is going to be your early sign that, hey, this is probably going to be a failed breakout. So you see a breakdown of that trend and you fail to get back above that 145, probably going to be a short back down to these lows. Maybe not all the way down to the lows, but it's going to be somewhere around there, I would assume. Because if you just zoom out a little bit more, you have a trend from the lows, actually. I think you do. At least from this low here, you got a trend, right? Kinda. Yeah, right there. So you got a trend right there. So maybe down to here, this 140, 138 area, if we lose that trend. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on Sol. My play is this. I'm keeping it super simple with you guys. If we break out and we can get a couple candle closes above this, I'll buy a back test around 145 if I can get it. Maybe this trend runs up a little bit further, right? Maybe we get it on this trend. You know, maybe if it doesn't just shoot up tomorrow, next couple days, we get a little consolidation. Maybe this trend lines up with it. Maybe but sometime next week we're looking for a long. Maybe it happens this week. We'll see. But I want to basically turn 145 into support. Then I'm ready to long this thing. That's just me. You guys don't have to listen. You're 16. Should you do a demo account? Yes. I think it depends on your experience with trading. If you're 16, I think you should be practicing with not real money. I don't even know if you can trade on an exchange if you're under 18. Depends on what country you're in, maybe. Because you have to have, like, you got to have an ID. So they're going to check your ID unless you do a non-KYC. I mean, I would recommend it, man. If you're new, especially if you're new to trading, I guess that's due to your experience. I imagine you're 16, you haven't been trading for 10 years. So probably do a demo account first, just so you can get familiar with it. Yeah, I'm going to go look at Apple real quick. We just did Sol. Let's go look at Apple. All right, Apple. I gave this call a while back. Apple looks a lot like the S&P. Look at that channel, right? From back in 2020, just channeling up. Every time we hit the top, it reverses hard back to the bottom. Where are we at right now? We hit the top, and guess what? We lost a pretty crucial money line back from August. I went short up here on the shoulder. We had a shoulder head shoulder pattern. That was my sign. I actually threw this in the Discord too. That was my sign to get into a short. What is happening right now? Well, we had a impulse. Then what do? We flagged out. Then we impulse down again. What are we doing now? Probably flagging out for another move down. That would be my guess. So what I would do is watch the local price action. We are really near to, we're kind of near support. This 256 is kind of support, but I wouldn't call that like major support. How much do I make per month trading? It depends, man. I made $1,000 yesterday trading, and I made $1,000 today trading. It's not like that every day. It also depends on how much money you're making. So like a good day for me is 1% on my account. That's a good day. Like that's a solid day. You can't ask for more. I've done 3, 4, 5% on it on my account in a day, and that's profit. So like, let's say you're trading with $1,000 account, 1% would be $10. If you're trading with $100,000 account, 1% would be about 1,000. So 1% a day is pretty good. If you can get 15, 20, 30% in a month, you are a top tier trader. Not many people even make that. I mean, the fucking S&P, what is an average? 10, 11% a year? Most hedge funds can't even outpace the S&P. So, I mean, I make enough to make a living. I know people that make millions a year trading. I know guys that can make. I've seen traders in my group make $180,000, $200,000 in a single morning trading in one trade. Like no joke. What is it? So Apple. So yeah, man, I'm just watching this bear flag on Apple right now. I think Apple is just flagging out, right? Look at this flag here on the 4-hour. Track that. When it starts to break down, that's probably your next leg. And adjust this a little bit. Spy, please. How did you meet Ben and all of them? I met Ben through a mutual friend that used to actually be a mentor. Well, he was a moderator when I was a mentor at Banter. He introduced me to Ben and Nick. He's like, "Yo, you got to meet these guys. They're great." And I like stood him up for like a fucking 6 months, and eventually I finally said, "All right, let me check out the group." I met them. I saw that they're real traders like me. They're not bullshitting. They're not just fucking hobbyists. That was my biggest thing. I didn't want to be in a trading group with a bunch of guys who just want to talk charts, but actually don't take action. I'm looking for real people, real traders, because I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to, even though I am a profitable trader and I make money, I always think there's room for growth and room for sharpening my skills. And the only way to sharpen your skills is to be around other people who are doing the same, who are more experienced. The more experienced people around me, the better, because then I know I know like I can raise myself. My goal can be to like get to their level, and then I have something to strive for. Thoughts on MSTR? I will look at that. Give me 1 second. I just want to get to some of these questions. I'm not even sure what you're saying, bro. I think you're hating on my beard right now. Why are you drawing the top of your wedge through those candles? I'm not sure what you mean by that, bro. Look, dude. When it comes to trend lines, when it comes to drawing trends, drawing patterns, it's all subjective at the end of the day. It's like it's you who's drawing it. So whatever you do, make sure you have consistency. For me, I usually draw from wick to wick, but sometimes you do get these moves, and I'll show you on Bitcoin what I mean, right? You do get these moves where they fake you out. They'll drop it down below a trend just to get people trapped, like they did right here. Look. So if you draw this trend right here, they actually, believe it or not, you had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. That's a trend. It takes 3 touches for a trend to be formed. They actually dropped it down and then ran it up. They do that often. That's market maker manipulation. That's liquidity grabs. These things aren't perfect. They're not just black and white. There's some gray. So you have to have some flexibility when you draw your patterns and draw your trend lines and draw your horizontal supports and stuff. But the key is to be consistent. Whatever you do, just be consistent, because as long as you're consistent in the way you do it, it's all that matters. You know what I mean? There's no real right and wrong. I mean, there is a right and wrong. I mean, you can be blatantly wrong drawing a trend, but that's what it is, dude. Do I become one with the chart? Yeah, dude. It's called the. I'll tell you what it's. It's called like the flow state. People say. What is the goal? My goal is like, dude, if I can make 10 to 20% a month trading, I'm happy. Like I said, 1% a day is like my goal every day. But I only trade Monday through Friday. I don't consider the weekend trading days because there's no markets open. So if you're trading on the weekends, you're trading in low volume, and low volume is dangerous for a trader. There is a lot of hedge funds that cannot beat the S&P. I think we had a statistic. It's like 75% of them don't. Maybe more than that. Like, not a lot of hedge funds out there are profitable. Dude, I know people that have yearly returns like that. 2,000%. Do you have daily financial goals? I mean, I understand it's not always possible. I'll tell you what my biggest goal is financially, and this should be this. If you're a trader or an investor, or you want to, like, stack your cash or assets, your goal every single day should be one, and I like Ben will preach this every day, is to follow your rules. But two, don't lose money. It's always the goal. My goal is to always not lose money. I don't care if I make money. I don't want to lose money. If I can avoid losing money and it means not taking a trade that may lose me money, if it's a 50-50 trade, I'm probably not going to take it. I need the edge. I need the edge in my favor before I'll take a trade. So, like, losing money and following my rules are my goals every day. And if I can make money, that's great. That's a plus. That should always be a plus. Like, that 1% is a plus, but it's not expected. It's not something I'm looking to do every day. Do I become one? I think that's great. Could I become one with the chart? It wasn't that. Okay. Yeah, my bad, dude. I was trying to go through everything. It's a little tough to TA and then look at the charts and to answer questions and in a good time. But I'm getting better at it. I promise. I'm practicing, guys. I'm practicing. So let's just look at this range here, man. So what is Bitcoin doing? I want to talk. This is a little educational stuff, right? What's Bitcoin doing? That's interesting to me. Well, we put a higher high in, a higher low in. This is still the ceiling. Starting to look a little bit like, what's that pattern? It's an inverse head and shoulders. So if we can break the neckline, which is right up here around 95.5, we could expect to probably take a move back up to these highs here around 96,000. So this could play out. Let me check volume out real quick on BTC. Sorry, I'm being a little selfish right now because I'm actually trying to trade. The volume doesn't look great. I'll be 100% honest with you. Volume doesn't look good. But there is divergence. I like that. And I like the way the stock RSI looks. Let me see what the hourly looks like. Might get a little pump here. We break that 95.50, 95.500. We could see 96,000 pretty quickly. You're doing great. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. I'm trying, dude. Like, I think I started streaming like 2 months ago. Dude, I want to tell you straight up, it took Ben and Nick like a year to get me to stream. I told them, I was like, I do not want to be in front of a camera. I was in front of a camera at Banter, and I like didn't mind it, but like now I'm like, I was like, I got away from it, and I was like, it's just it's just chill. I don't have to worry about doing anything. But then I was like, you know what? It's time to start streaming again because it makes sense. Like, we're not going to get any exposure in the group, and our thing is right now we're trying to get some more eyes on the group. We're trying to build a little bit. So we're just out here. We're trying TikTok now. We're doing YouTube. We've been doing YouTube for a while, but yeah. But streaming's it's not hard. It's just you have to remember you're on camera. I don't watch my own streams, by the way. I refuse to go look back at them. I'm just one of those people, man. I'm like, if I go back and look at my stream, I'm going to friggin' find so many things wrong with it, and I'm going to try to correct it, so I just don't even put myself through that hell, if I'm being honest. I'm a perfectionist sometimes. It's not great to, like, longevity and fucking stress levels. That's why I'm gray at 37. Fucking stress levels out the door. Probably trading, too. Trading can do that to you. I appreciate that, Wild and Sunny. You know what it is, man? I see a lot of stuff on YouTube that doesn't really resonate with me either. So I'm trying to be not that. I don't want to be the guy who's there just to entertain. I want to actually, like, if I'm watching someone chart, I want to learn. I'm not just, maybe I want to see his levels and just compare his levels to mine, but I want him to teach me something. There's got to be some education in there. Like I have to get some value out of it. And if I'm not, and that's like the one thing I try to do. Like I try to give some value, but I also don't like just talking about the technicals, right? Trading is like fucking 20% TA, maybe 10% TA. The rest of it is all psychological. 100K. 100K before 90. I think we solidified that today when we broke this 94.8. So I think 100K is more likely. Volume would say that we're probably going to come down hard though at some point, so don't be prepared. Um, but yeah, I would say it's the like I like to talk about psychology in trading because that's one thing you don't hear a lot of people talk about, and that's the biggest thing. That's the hardest part to master. Is mastering yourself, understanding discipline, fighting your emotions, FOMO, fear, greed, fucking anxiety. Like, fuck, dude. I've been in trades, and it's all relative at the end of the day, right? Like, $100 on a stop loss for you may be different than me. Like, for me, $100 on a stop loss is not going to kill me. If I put $100 on if I risk 100 to make 500, it's not a bad trade for me. But if I was risking 1,000, it would make me feel a lot different because relative to my account, it's a big portion of my account, $1,000. But it's not that bad for a guy who's trading with a 500,000K, 500K account. $1,000 may not hurt him. It might not make him feel that way. But I mean, I was in one of those trades where I was clearly oversized. I went heavy, man. I think I did a half a Bitcoin. And again, this was like a year ago. So I was obviously trading with a smaller account back then. I did like a half Bitcoin account. And I do a trade. And I never take trades that big of a size. It was like a $50,000 trade, or maybe a little bit more actually. And I'm used to trading 20,000, 15,000. So I like doubled up my size, almost tripled up. I was sweating, dude. I was literally like I was pacing back and forth from my house. I had my stop. I had to walk away from the computer because I was worried if I was standing by the mouse, I might click. Like the minute I see green, I was going to close out the trade. Or the minute I saw red, I was going to panic sell. So I had to like walk away from the computer. That's the shit that they don't tell you. Traders don't tell you about that stuff on YouTube. That's the stuff I like to talk about because that's the shit that matters. It's like, how do you handle the pressure? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to hear LeBron talk about his fucking technicals on how he shoots his free throws and how he posts and how he does all these different things, or do you want to hear him talk about the psychology, the mental of the game, how he reads defenses, and you know what I mean? Like, you want to hear that kind of stuff. Like me, at least me, that's the type of person I am. I want to get into the mind of the person actually doing something. So that's why I try to resonate. Sorry, that was a long-winded response to that. What else you guys want to look at? Also, sorry if my beard is getting scratchy on the mic. I saw somebody mention that. I'm gonna have to trim it down. I think if so I'm half Palestinian. So if my beard gets any longer, I might be on ISIS watch list or something, dude. I probably shouldn't make jokes like that on TikTok, but LeBron of day trading, dude. Who would you rather be? Would you rather be the LeBron or would you rather be like? I guess I would want to be LeBron. I would want to be the most consistent NBA player. I want to be somebody who shows up, doesn't have to put 30, 40 points on the board. I'm not looking for a guy who's putting triple doubles in every game. Or I'm looking for a guy who's consistent. That's the trader I want to be. So, Poet? What's Poet? Let's go look at it. Poet Technologies. Also, I appreciate the follows, guys. If you're tuning in, you're not following, give us a follow. We do live content almost every day. If you're interested, check out our Discord, check out our website. Tactical Edge Traders is the website, and our Discord, you can find that on the website as well, or you can find the links in the bio. So, Poet. Okay. Well, the volume looks good. I'm going to mute myself real quick. Sorry, I had to cough. I didn't want you guys to have to hear that. The volume looks good. Volume's kicking up right there, right? You can see how we're starting to mark up. You see that we had a bottom. We did a little deviation. We reclaimed it. And now we're starting to mark up on the weekly. It's getting a little choppy up here. What I don't like, and this is what I'm going to point out. So we had a trend, kind of sort of a trend, right? It was like a little bit of a trend going. We deviated. We lost a daily low and a weekly low. This low was breached when this top was put in, and this broke it. So that is a break of structure. So much feedback, Eddie. Is there? Yeah, someone was saying it earlier. It might be. Let me check OBS real quick while we're here. I'll turn my mic down a little bit. What are you hearing, Ben? It is. I think that's what it is. I gotta trim my beard. Somebody said it earlier. I'm trying to like pull it away. Oh, let me try doing this. Is that better? Sorry, Ben. Some of us. Yeah, I pulled it away. It's away from my beard now. Yeah, some of us can grow beards, Ben, so we have these problems. I'm talking shit because Ben's trying to grow a beard. He's got blonde hair, so it doesn't look like as amazing as this, but he's doing good. Sorry about that, guys. Just yell at me next time. It's still there. I'm not sure what that is then, man. Maybe if the beard. Can you check Silver Fox? Can you check BA? We gotta get you a big boy mic. Let me see what the mic is set up to. Hold on. It's Logitech. It's all set up right. Then maybe the cost of shipping, I'll send you a headset. I have an extra. Damn, dude, is this just a shit talking fest all of a sudden? Like I'm getting cooked right now, and then you guys want me to send you charts? I'm just gonna fucking log off and go trade by myself. When you don't move, it's fine. It's got to be my beard then. I'll trim my beard, guys. I was lazy today. I was getting a little raggedy, so I'll try not to move. Ben's gonna have me going still. All right. Yeah, I'll take care of that for tomorrow. Next time my stream. All right. So look, Poet talked about this low, got breached, right? So that's the first red flag. What you don't want to see is a loss of this trend. If this becomes a high, that becomes a lower high. And then what happens? On the higher time frame, you go high, low, lower high. That is a start of a downtrend. So you got to be careful here. If it loses this trend, that's probably my first red flag. Then this low becomes the target at some point. So you have to be careful there. To the upside, if it can maintain, let's say it doesn't do what I just said. It says fuck you. I'm gonna do some other shit. Maybe it does that. Maybe it just holds here and then runs up. Your next high, well, obviously you have to look at 950, right? 950 is a key area because that's just the high we put in, right? But the real area I think it's gonna matter. It's gonna be up here. It's around that $11 to $12 zone. I'm gonna draw a box up here. Actually, it's probably a little bit better. So this area is gonna be a high area for profit taking because that was the last high on the weekly. Look how many wicks they went up there. They weren't able to break it on the weekly 3 times when they attacked it. So you have to imagine when you get up to $11, there's going to be massive resistance if we get up there. But 980 is like your main resistance right now. 930, I'm sorry, not 980. So, yeah, Poet, I mean, look, just watch this trend, dude. If you lose this trend, that's a red flag. It's starting to look a little head and shouldery, too. Like, I don't like when I see this, like a low, high, higher high, then a lower high. Like, that's never a good pattern. And the market structure is starting to look a little shaky here. So you gotta like watch that. If I give you free alpha for options, can we get you a yet with an arm stand? I'm not sure what that means, dude. Do y'all live trade daily on a set schedule? Yeah, bro. We trade every morning, Monday through Fridays, only when the markets are open. Ben runs the New York sesh. Ben's actually in here. He's the guy talking shit above. But yeah, Yeti Mike. Okay, I gotcha. So yeah, we trade we get together around 8:30 a.m. Eastern, right? That's an hour before New York market opens, and then we do a pre-session, is what we call it. Ben goes over his levels. He goes over his trade plans for the day. If anybody else has any levels or trade plans, that's when we all like kind of share information, share our ideas, what we're looking at. When 9:30 hits, that's when game mode we lock in for game mode. We can be in front of the computer from 9:30 to sometimes maybe about noon is usually when people start to fade out because the markets fade out. But some days we're there till almost 3, 4 o'clock. I'll be 100% honest with you. So Monday through Friday, we're usually trading anywhere from 8:30 to like, let's say noon to 3 o'clock. Ben's usually out by like 11, 11:30. He catches his first move in the morning and he's done. Some of us hang around to see what we can get after lunch, after the lunch period. But yeah, Monday through Fridays, dude. And I used to do Asia sessions at nighttime. That starts around like 8:30, 9:30 at night, p.m. Eastern. I haven't done them as much because I've been streaming more. So like my Asia sessions are now my streams, but when we get more people into the Discord and it starts to load back up again, I'll probably start trading Asia again. We'll have a dedicated Asia session. And you know, who knows, man? Maybe we'll expand and we'll start doing London too. But New York's our bread and butter. Does anybody have more files in trading you than Ben? I don't know, man. Yeah, I can hear my beard now moving around. I can hear it in the headset, so I know you guys hear it. All right, well, I'm chopping this thing off. And the fuck, I'm not chopping. I'll just trim it. But Asia gold bangs. Oh yeah, gold. Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I took. If you look at gold, like right, because gold stops trading. I think it stops trading around. What time is it when gold stops? It's around 4:30. It doesn't open back up for an hour. So gold's closed for an hour and a half. When the New York markets close around 4:30 p.m., gold shuts down. Gold and silver, and then they don't start opening up trading around 6. But look what happens. This is the move I actually caught earlier on gold. So this is like right when Asia's waking up, right? So gold closes right there, opens back up at 8, 6-ish, and then it runs up. So yeah, it is a good time to trade gold for sure. I agree with you. All right. Did I get everybody's charts? I didn't look at MSTR. My bad, dude. Let's look at micro strategies. I gave this fucking trade too. I should have taken it. I didn't take it. So MicroStrategies, talked about this one a few weeks ago. It's pretty simple. Look, this was the old trading range, right? We kind of broke back into it, but we're catching a little bit of support. It dipped back in a little bit, but what do we have? Well, if you go to the daily, we have bullish divergence. You can see momentum is shifting up as price is moving down, right? That is a bull div as we're coming into support. Did you do Boeing? No, I'll do Boeing next. You did ask for that. You're right. So look, if we can break this 170 area, which is the previous support, now resistance, we're probably going to shoot back up to 195, possibly 200. So this is really the area we got to break. Now on the 4-hour, we're looking good. You know, we're starting to get a break of structure, right? Oh, market structure shift right there. We're doing good on the 4-hour. I would say as long as we hold above this 172, 170, you're looking around 195 on MSTR. If you can get back above 195, I mean, you open up the floodgates for it to run up to possibly even 235. This high right here, well, there's one support. This could become resistance. So you could run even up to there. I think you get up to there, I think you start to get a little bit of, I would monitor it. You know, if we break this and then we continue, then like you're looking for this to be a little bit of resistance. But if it breaks above that, I mean, this thing will probably run all the way back up to 300 something. But one step at a time, that would take a lot of volume, money back into the markets. But I've seen crazier things. So let's go look at swings. 175 overnight. Yeah, right. So you want to look at Boeing or BE? Somebody said BE earlier. You said BA. You might have said BA. I might be wrong. Oh, Boeing looks interesting. All right, let me not do that. So let's get rid of the volume. Let's just look at the naked chart, see what we got here. So here's our low. Here's our high of the range. This is our range, right? We can probably draw a volume profile, get a little bit more of an internal range. So look at that. That's kind of clean. So we broke back. We basically bounced off the value area low here, made our way up, came back, retested POC, which is the point of control in the range, and now we're getting a bounce and we're looking to break that high. So right now on the weekly, this high, this crack will be a weekly market structure shift. So you have your low, you have your high put in, your high or low. If you break this and start to close above this, that is a weekly market structure shift. You can look for a back test to continue up. We go down to the daily. Let's go look and see what the daily's doing. Get rid of some of these lines first. CVX, yeah, it did. We were looking at that yesterday. So daily, you're up against, you're like, look, you got to watch this level. Don't fade this level here around 243. If you can hold above 243, 277 is probably your next target. You got a little bit of resistance, maybe around 265, but 277 is probably your next big target. So anywhere in this area, I would say, let me get rid of this volume profile real quick. Volume profile. This box. Just to keep it simple. So that's your next area. If you can start closing above this. So anywhere from 265 up to 280, it could run. You can monitor. You got the makings of a trend. It's not all the way there yet. You only have 2 touches. You need 3 touches to establish a trend. But if you run it like a parallel channel, right? I like to do this every once in a while just to see if this makes sense. If it does, it sometimes gives you a little bit of... So yeah, we could run that like that. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't look good. I want to see if that worked, if we had like a parallel channel. But it could line up, maybe it is a channel. Maybe this high would become something. But for now, speculation. We'll wait for 3 touches to establish a trend. So 265 to 280 is probably your resistance right now. Your support, I mean, on the weekly, dude, is down to 175. So what you do is go down to your daily, pop a trend line from this low right here. That's your money line. That is basically your bullish indicator. If you start to lose this money line or trend, you're probably coming down to maybe take this 275 or 175. There's a good chance. So watch this trend in the short term. Until it breaks that trend, I would stay bullish on this thing. And I'd be looking for these highs to get maybe potentially tapped. So, and it doesn't have to go in a straight line, man. This thing could come back down and just continue to do this, right? Until it gets up there. So just be patient with this one. Looks good. I'm going to take a look at the volume real quick, and then I'll jump off to another one. Yeah, volume's not the greatest, but we're coming up against resistance. What you don't want to see, price start to close below this and get rejected. If that happens, you're going to come attack the trend, and if you lose that trend, like I said, you're looking at a bigger move down. So just be mindful of that if you are like bullish or long on this thing. That's always a possibility, but you can always set an alert on these things. If you don't know, you click on the trend line. See that little, I'm going to show you right here on my tools. When you click on the trend line, this little toolbar will come up sometimes, depending on how you have your settings set. You can add an alert, right? I can actually show you. I can make an alert right here. I'm going to create an alert when price action breaks below that trend. So anytime price action deviates or touches that trend, I'm going to get an alert sent to my email, sent to my phone, and it also will make a sound on my computer if I'm live trading or have my computer open. So, yeah. PPA when Trump was in office last. Yeah, let's go take a look at it. What was yeah, I see that. Yeah, right. That's funny. That thing ran, man. But then this was around COVID, wasn't it? Right here, when Boeing dumped. I remember buying it back here. I actually bought this stock. I bought. What else did I buy? I bought a bunch of airline stocks back during COVID. I remember that was like the play for me. Once per bar closes, less noise so it doesn't go off a ton. Yeah, I do that as well sometimes. But a stock like this on a higher time frame, I'm cool with it because the first time it touches it, I'm gonna probably delete the alert and take a look at it. On lower time frames, I do the once per touch or once per bar. Otherwise, you'll be getting alerts all day, and that shit gets annoying. Yeah, gotta give me a Yeti mic. I just gotta trim my beard, dude. I could hear it rustling around. I should have paid attention. But yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna probably jump off now. I've been streaming for like an hour and a half, almost hour and 40. I won't be streaming tomorrow. I think either Ben or Nick will be streaming tomorrow. So keep an eye out for them. If you're not following us, follow us so you can get alerts when we go live. And if you want, check out our Discord. We put all of our stuff in there too, so you'll get alerts in the Discord when we go live. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If I didn't get to your chart today while you were here, my apologies. I'll catch you next time. If not, join the Discord, and like I said, it's free, and throw your chart in there and I'll help you out. I'll do some TA for you. What is this chart? This is Bitcoin. The bitter coin. So I'm just watching this channel we just broke out of. By the way, my long is in profits. Hold on, where's that trade at? Yep, I'm up a couple $100 right now. But I'm going to jump off, guys. I appreciate y'all. Check us out. And until next time. All right. Later, y'all.